Teen Family Acres. Hey guys, so we're gonna be unloading our T-post here and getting ready for our fence as we're trying to protect our fruit trees finally. So let me set you up on a quick little time lapse. Alright guys, so you can see we've got 19 10-foot T-posts and some deer netting. I don't know if we'll use this or some other that we have that's actually taller than that. We will see. But hopefully our trees and certainly blueberries and muscadines down here will appreciate this fence we're gonna put up. All right guys, so we're out here gonna be finally working on the deer fence that we've said for at least 3 years that we know of that we're gonna put up and been collecting materials for slowly but surely. So we've got some of the poles laid out. I think what we're gonna do is do an initial 10-foot spacing here so that if we needed to, that could potentially be a door. Probably not up on that end, but just hypothetically thinking. And then we're gonna run this way every 15 feet after the first pole. And then we're gonna try and do a 45 because that's what they say online in regards to all the deer fencing places is try and do 45s in your corners. Number one, for support. It doesn't take a lot of pull or support on these T-posts anyway, they can handle it. But in regards to being able to mow, get those corners, etc., just thinking ahead. Otherwise, you gotta bring out the weed eater, and y'all know how much I hate weed eating. So we're gonna do a 45 there, and then we're gonna figure it out going back towards the house. That's the part I'm not 100% sure of, as well as knowing how much actual full 7-foot deer fencing that I have. I've got 2 packs, and from my memory, I've got enough to run here and run there at least the majority of the way. I do have some 4-foot deer slash garden netting as well that we got when we bought these T-posts that I could do on the upper end, or honestly I could potentially double it if I needed to, because we've got 10-foot T-posts on this side. I do have some 8-footers if we need them, but I think we're gonna be all right on number because we got 19 10-footers, and then I believe we've got 7 to 10 8-footers. So kind of thinking through exactly when, where, how we want to make this work, and also wanting to try and get up as much of this as possible today. If you can't get up the whole thing, then you need to just set up your post and then come back and do the rest, because you don't want deer running into it or checking it out when it's not fully ready, set, go. So speaking of which, let's go. If you've never balanced 30 pounds of raw steel 10 feet in the air, then I would strongly encourage you to not try it unless you absolutely have to. You can see here, that's a 6-foot ladder, and I'm basically on the next to last step and trying my best to get these posts in the ground. You know, you want to put them at least 1.5 feet in, so essentially it ends up being about an 8-foot fence or post whenever we get to that height. Here we're putting a string up to make sure that we then line up the post all the way in line, and we just work all the way down our line, slowly but surely. Right where that tip is, all right. right close to the oak tree. Alright, so, alright. But I don't know that I want to go to that maple tree. I think what to do down there. So, post needs to go right there. Okay. Yep. Great geometry, Lori. Who told you you wouldn't be using math at any time?
Alright, so I need to go get a post?
Yeah, we need a post. You got string around your boot. Alright guys, as the stunt double gets us some T-posts, what we were doing there is measuring to try and get a 45 as close as possible. It's not going to be exact. We're trying to get a 45 on this corner so we can mow on the inside and on the outside pretty easily and be able to have access to this other side. Basically what we did was we measured on out another 15 feet so that our spacing on our post would be the same. And then we marked that spot, and then we kind of eyeballed it in regards to which direction we're wanting to go the other way. Again, it's not going to be exact 45, but we basically eyeballed it and ended up making it go 15 feet from that other mark that was in line, and that should give us approximately the angle that we're looking for. Again, it's not going to be exact, but it's going to be pretty close. And then we're going to figure out, once we get up by the house, that's a little bit of my worry in regards to how or what we're going to end up doing to be able to kind of tie that in, keep deer from coming in on the upper side. And then we'll kind of discuss a few other things amongst all of that as well. So here we go. We'll get this other post in the ground and start heading back toward the house. Progress, progress, progress. Can't see you. Oh. I think you're about right there. You got it? I'll be open and honest, this 30-pound T-post driver starts to get a little heavy after a while, but we slowly persevered and put more and more and more posts into the ground. Alright guys, so we got the perimeter pretty much done around on this side. Just got to figure out a gate so that I can drive the mower in and through over there, and also how we're going to run it back over toward the house to keep them from just coming around the edge there. So that'll get this side. And then we're gonna have to kind of start figuring out what we're gonna do on the back side here where our other fence is. I've got a couple different ideas on that hopefully will work, and we can kind of get some ideas going. So slowly but surely, here we go. Time to take a break.
Back towards you some. A little bit more. You're on the inside. Okay. Okay.
That's pretty straight. And that's like close to government work right here. Like after those. Guys, we've got the exterior set up for electric now. Just gonna go get our insulators, put those on. I honestly think I'm gonna do 2 rows of electric. I'm gonna do one a little bit lower than the other, pretty much just the height that probably my mower deck can kind of get under. That will be the other aspect, is trying to mow grass and trying to think how this is gonna work. So I do wanna make sure that I pay attention to that height. And then the other one I think I'm gonna put about chest high. I read a couple different articles. Some are saying 30 inches high, some are saying, you know, one at 18 and one at 42. So we'll kind of see. We've got 5-foot T-posts, and then you put them in the ground. Honestly, this is about the only thing that that's good for. If, you know, unless you're doing some kind of other electric, is something short like this. So I got a couple different options that we can do in regards to that electric, but I think we're gonna do 2 strands. So we'll see how this turns out. Let's go get those insulators. All right guys, note to self, you need to make sure and pay attention to which of the insulators you're gonna get when you're going to get them out of storage or you go buy some. So this impacts which side of that T-post that's going on. So I've always been taught, and I think it's the right way, that whatever you're trying to keep in or keep out, that's the side that you need the flat side of that T-post. So all the flat sides are going to be facing out towards where the deer are going to be. You can get insulators that'll go either way though, because sometimes you've got 1 row of fence and you need insulators going either direction. So you can kind of see that these, that's where the flat side's going to be, and then that is where the other side's going to be. So these would actually go opposite directions. So pay attention to that when you're getting them out of the bag and or you're purchasing these insulators. Alright, so 40. Cannot say that I'm the best at doing these, but at least give you a general idea. And then that snaps there. So the wire will come from here, go that way. And this is at 18 inches. I'm going to put a regular size one right here at 42. So this will be offset just a little bit. Guys, we're out here putting up the insulators for the electric that's gonna go on the outside of the deer fence. And these are finally coming in handy after we had goats for 5 years, but Tractor Supply switched brands on these. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago. Maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And we went by and bought a whole bunch because they were marked way down, super cheap. Only place you would have found them cheaper is probably Marketplace, and then you never know if they're gonna be sun damaged, etc. But finally working through some of these bags. They go a long ways, I'll definitely say that. So as much as we like to kind of have things around, it did make it convenient where I didn't have to make a list to go buy something else, especially as much as things have inflated in the last probably 5 or 6 years. But sometimes you do end up with a little bit extra floating around, if y'all know what I mean. So we're gonna start putting these at about every 42 inches, which is pretty much right where that white is, just at the bottom of that on each one of these posts. So we'll get each one of those done. Many of y'all have been watching us for quite some time, and we've talked about for years putting a deer fence up. Well, today's the day, or at least this is the time. It might be multiple days. We're gonna get this up, and hopefully it won't be overly long because I do want to get this up before we have deer kind of just running into it. So we've got our post up. Y'all have seen that video. I think what I'm gonna do here is trying to get some of my wire up. I also have purchased this. I don't know if this is what we'll ultimately keep and go with. I'll save you guys the plug in that this absolutely was not sufficient for keeping deer out, and we actually had a problem within the first day or week of it being up. They just basically ran right through it. So it's a complete waste. I would highly suggest you not buy this. I also talk a little bit about Amazon affiliates, and if you ever do want to purchase anything, we'd be happy if you guys would use one of our links and it doesn't cost you anything else. Back on to our regular scheduled work. Here and figure out where the end of my electric wire is. This will be electrified at some point. Right now it will not be, just because I don't have my grounding rods set up. I've got basically everything else, but I don't have grounding rods set up. So hopefully we can get this untangled, as I think at some point I'll let this loose. Or is this the one? I think that's the one. All right, here we go. It today. Real world is what we're talking about. Real world. All right, guys, so after fighting with that wire for quite a good little while, we were able to get it all the way down to our second T-post. So I've got some other wire here. I think it's less tangled. We're gonna keep working on it. Once we get this wire up, then I'll come back to you. Here we are putting up the netting that I mentioned earlier that was an absolute waste of money and it did not work. But I think the idea works. It will probably just need to be thicker netting. But for now, as you'll see in the near future here, we ended up going a different route. I really hope this works. It has consistently been some pressure on this side. And we've talked about this now for at least 3 years, if not longer, ever since I put muscadines. Even, honestly, since not long after I put apples up here, I talked about deer pressure and then didn't really do anything about it. And then we ended up putting the muscadines up here, which you can see those here, and they just got hammered. Look at this. Look at this Supreme Vine. I did a short on this before, and they just came in here and absolutely ripped a cordon off of the vine. We just ripped it off. Nibbling on my Black Beauty as well. So hopefully we will get some results from this fencing we're putting up. My wife and I were just discussing what we're gonna do on this other side of the house, up over on this side here. And I've got some about 4 foot tall fencing I think I'm just gonna put across there. And I'll have to figure out some kind of gate or doorway, because that is the direct way to be able to walk through, and I don't really want to have to mess with a whole lot every time I want to check my vines, so I'll figure that out. But looks like this is working, or getting up at least, pretty simply to here, and then we'll have to figure out something else over on that side. As far as electric fence, we've got one at about knee height here. And then we've got another one at about waist height that will go there. That should prevent them from just sprinting through it, especially once we get the electric hooked up. They'll find something else to eat. And it'll probably be something in another portion of my yard. All right, guys, so we're going to be working on getting up this other electric wire for the waist high, and then we got to be working pretty soon on getting the charge box set up over here toward the front of the house. For now, what we're going to do here is get this wire, our trusty dusty stick that I figured out a couple years ago to spin the reel on, and it works absolutely great as long as you don't let it get bent up, and then it will catch, and sometimes it will cut you if you aren't careful. Learned that last night, but it's not bad. It's kind of just like a paper cut almost. Trucking along here. This just speeds things up considerably. You can keep this stuff on a roll and not fight it like we were doing earlier in the video when we first got started. Just kind of keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling. And it probably would not hurt for me to put some flagging tape on these as well, just to make sure the deer see them. They don't just run straight. Again, you always want to make sure you got at least a foot or so of slack. So that there. This is going to be a gate over here anyway, so we'll cut that. Hope that didn't do a whole lot of that. All right, now you could actually put a tensioner on here, but the length we have going, I just tend to pull it around. So we're over here now trying to set up our electric fence, and I've already put in a 2x4, nailed it in the ground back here right at the edge of the shrubs with a screw on it to be able to hang our box. This is not a weatherproof box, but I've done this in the past and it works really, really well. So the only thing I modified, and I'll let you see that here in just a second, is I put a post in the ground, or a 2x4, treated 2x4 in the ground, and then I actually put a board kind of in a T shape, but at the very, very top, to be able to keep, when I put a bucket over it, that way the bucket won't tilt or shift or anything. It should just sit flat on top and hang over to protect this charge box. Now I'm about to put in a grounding rod. I had to go pull up 2 grounding rods that we had at our other location where we used to keep all this stuff for when we had the goats. And it worked really, really well when I had the 2 rods. I think I'm gonna try 1 right now, and if that works, then we'll go from there. Main reason is because our shrubs here in the front are an absolute hot mess. And there are some things that I might like to restructure at some point once I kind of get all this stuff set up, organized, etc. So the only other aspect I'll need to do from here on out is basically put another T-post over on this side to be able to kind of connect those hot wires too, as well as some other fencing. It's electric fence at 2 different heights, as well as kind of the 3D aspect, because there is that netting. If they try and jump over, then they're going to run into that. But hopefully this will also prevent them from just running straight through and hitting that netting. We shall see. You never know. Well, I'm sure we'll have to kind of modify as we go here. Anyway, enough talking. Let's see if we can get this figured out. This is our grounding rod. And if you don't have an 8-footer and you're using a 4-footer like I am, then you can get a little bit of the way, and then you got to bring out the sledgehammer without trying to hurt the gardenia. Alright guys, so got my box here, and just need to get my ground wire to run from here over to the grounding rod here, and then I'll have an insulated piece running from here up and over to this one. This is temporary on this end. To see which one here. This one's on, that one's off. So I'm gonna run. We'll let her go 2 hours tonight. And I doubled up all the emitters. Doubled up all the emitters out here, except for the Ruby Crisp that was at the ground. I also cleared up all of the round on this new row. Haven't done that on the old row yet. Blueberries are looking pretty nice too. All right, then I got a custom cover here. Make sure the bushes are not up in it, and that should be fine. Sitting right there in the middle. Again, this setup with this fence is temporary. I'm gonna put a gate up here big enough for the lawnmower to get through, but for now this is gonna be it. And I've just got it tied here with the stick kind of pulled around it on the edge, and one T-post in the middle, and I just kind of pulled the rope around like that there. Need at least probably 2 more T-posts out here. Probably wouldn't hurt to put one of those high ones with just a wire over it to make them look. And then this post here is just tucked in between the cedar trees, so if I need to get out, got my tractor up here still. Basically I can unhook that and lay it down. I hope this video has been super beneficial and helpful for each and every one of y'all as we've gotten this deer fence up. We'll give you some updates in regards to how well this is working, and hopefully it will alleviate some of our problems in having so much deer pressure here in the upstate of South Carolina. Those who mentioned, hey, I don't really have a lot of deer eating on their muscadine vines, etc., they must have a lot of other things to eat, or you've just been incredibly blessed. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you subscribe, that way you'll be able to find out exactly how this works out, how this pans out, as we continually post future updates and seeing if we do get any more damage and that kind of stuff. So thanks again, guys. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Here's a quick preview of an update of some things that we had to add to the fence to keep deer from jumping through it. Over here on the right will be a playlist, and over here on the left will be the latest upload. Thanks for joining us.